Hello and welcome back. I'm trying to find out the gap between a casual gamer, me, and the esports pros / best players in a series of racing games to see if I could become a racing driver. So far the answer is no, I could not become a racing driver as the gap in F1 2019 was over 6 seconds. So I'm going to have to go back to that game at some point and try and bring that gap down. Probably not in order to become a racing driver, probably just for trying to regain some pride. However, before that I want to try another game, and this one has an FIA certified racing series attached to it. It's possibly the biggest sim racer in the world right now. I'm of course talking about Gran Turismo Sport. My name's Ash, this is The Outside Line. Now I've played quite a few of the Gran Turismo games before, the last one being Gran Turismo 4, so while I'm familiar with the series, coming to GT Sport actually felt like coming to a new game. So rather than messing about with how I used to play, remote settings moving across, I just dived in, straight in with the wheel, manual gears, and the settings to put me in line with esports racing. So straight on with it, let's see how we go. The other thing to consider was that in F1 2019, while there's F2 and classic cars, the main class you're comparing yourself in is of course the Formula 1 cars. However, in Gran Turismo Sport, there are lots of classes of cars that can get thrown in to races at any point. So, to make it fair, I did quite a few daily races, the qualifying and the races themselves, and then I'd average out the gap from all of those to have my figure at the end to find out what my final gap between me and the pros would be. Now, as I mentioned before, I've got this set up to do videos, but it was about a month before I was actually ready to start shooting. But I had everything here, I wasn't going to just not play. So without any filming going on, I basically just captured my first few efforts on Gran Turismo Sport. This is how I got on. So, to get started, and don't judge me, I started by going through driving school, and I'm proud to say, completed it, mate. All gold. I thought it was the best way just to get used to the wheel, gears, everything, before I jumped into a race. Did a couple of the career mode races, but then straight into the online daily races, thought learn by doing. We started in Interlagos with Group 3, or is it Grade 3, I'm not sure, Group 3 cars anyway, which is basically a GT3 sports cars. Now, if you aren't regular GT Sport players, worth knowing about the DR and SR by the name. So DR is your driver rating, which is based on how quick you are. SR is your sportsmanship rating, based on how sportsmanly you are. So basically, don't ram people, don't cut corners, and you will have a higher SR. They're both graded from S to E, although you have to apply for an S driver rating after you've performed well in some FIA events. Basically, that's your star rating. And every new driver in the game starts with a driver rating of E and a sportsmanship rating of B. Now, that initial driver rating then changes after a few races. You can never go back to being an E-rated driver. It's basically your noob alert. Beginner's warning to everyone else. So I'd move out from that quite quickly. And your rating of both of these affects what lobbies you go in. So if I can get into a higher sportsmanship rating, I'll, in theory, be in lobbies with cleaner drivers. Obviously your driver rating goes up, you put in lobbies with faster drivers. Now, because I'm a beginner, I've got a bit of a mix, so there were some A and B rated drivers you'll have spotted. And the gap was about just over 2.5 seconds between my qualifying time and the qualifying time of first. So starting in 15th, not expecting the race win. As you can see, bit messy down at the back. And this race, Interlagos, is very similar to my first race with the wheel and pedals setup in F1 2019, which was also Interlagos, where basically at this point I am trying to get a feel for the car, feel for the wheel and pedal setup in a race situation, and just, you know, keep it tidy and see where we end up. Already gained 2 places by doing that, and I must admit I was feeling more confident in my control of the car than I was in F1 2019. I see the radar in the bottom corner, guy gets the run on me and makes the move, fair and square. I don't see him, clearly wasn't looking at the radar, and get a little drop in my sportsmanship rating there. Really need to get used to checking your sides when moving across. Your sideways vision isn't always the best, but still not bad. I can just about see 11th place, potential for some moves. However, keep an eye on the radar again, as the potential gets wiped out. There he is, slid into, and by an Aston Martin no less. He was clearly out of control, and he just used me to get round the corner. Maybe not intentionally, but he dropped me right to the back, 15th of 15, and because of my lack of pace, we rejoin at lap 5, still 15th, about 2 seconds away. I'm actually reeling in the Polish driver at this point, and then I go and bin it. So what started out as relatively promising died a death quite quickly. Didn't even get to cross the finish line. I was that far back in the end. You could say, you know, positive, position raised, won, but it's kind of low-hanging fruit. Next, it was a time trial. It was the Hyundai Demio XD Touring round the Kyoto Miyabi layout. My thinking behind doing this was I thought I'd get acclimatised to the game and how it plays and feels with a slower car first, and then work up from there. The whole thing with this time trial was just do not scrub off speed. You could argue that's the case with any time trial, but because it takes so long for this car to accelerate and get up to speed, back up to speed, you know, you need to get on the throttle as early as possible out of that last corner, and then just have a line round the track that's as flat out as possible. Like I said, arguably same with any time trial, but exaggerated when acceleration is this slow. Didn't do too badly with this one, only 0.8 of a second off the fastest time. Maybe my strength was driving slow cars quickly. A weird strength, but at this point it was the only one that had presented itself to me. Back into the races, we're at Tsukuba circuit in the RE Amamiya. Here we go again. RE Amamiya, it's an RX-7, it's a tuned RX-7, everyone's driving him. So I'm not saying they're really cool, I mean everyone is literally driving them. It's a one-make race, sticking with Mazda basically, sticking with the idea that I can drive slow cars quickly. Qualified 12th. When you're on a rolling start, it took about 10 seconds to cross the line when you're starting that far back. Crazy. Because I'm still the base rating, EB, there's still lots of variation of ranked drivers in the room. And looking back at it now, I've got a chance to go up the inside of the Greek as he slows down. Why I didn't go for that? Clearly just the lack of confidence. Greek punked off the Spanish driver. He gets a 2-second penalty, and I think, right, let's look at this. Let's try and go for him, but get squirmy on the exit. And I've got traction control on here. You can have traction control either completely off or up to 5, but you compromise on power, as the Greek guy weaves there to get rid of his penalty. So yeah, at this point I've still got it on. I think I've got it on like 2 at the minute, just as I kind of get used to it. But still very, very uncomfortable. Anyway, skip ahead to lap 4. Been running round basically in 11th after that mad first lap. I'm trying to catch the Spaniard in 10th. Really keen to try and get the gap down. Comfortable from behind, the Greek is nowhere near. And just trying to find that extra pace, because I still haven't really got it, and I go wide on the exit. And accelerating on dirt, never really a good idea. And that puts me now behind the Greek, down into 12th place. So not ideal. Lap 5, and the Greek has been inconsistent all race. He then seems to slow down for this yellow flag, but then again he might be the yellow flag, I'm not sure. Still going slowly, and I'm completely confused. I just kind of go, alright, well I'll go by then. And the most underwhelming overtake around the outside means I'm in the top 10. However, as we've seen after the Monaco night incident, if you happen to inherit a, shall we say, lucky top 10 place, it's almost like the racing gods will find you out. You will not just fluke your way to a top 10 place. Penultimate lap, miss my braking point, and absolutely bin it. At some point after this point I put the cone markers on. You can have cone markers on for your braking zones and your apexes. Since I see a lot of people using those, I thought, well, I might as well. Wasn't using them here though, clearly, as I, again, don't get to cross the finish line being that far back. Qualified 12th, finished 11th. Apparently that means I gained 2 places. Quick maths there from GT Sport. Back in again. My sportsmanship rating up to A now though, so hopefully some cleaner drivers on the way. I still need to work on being quicker. 13th this time. This was an eventful race, this was a good one. Now, you might have noticed at the end of each section I've been flashing up the pace gap, the gap between my best time and the quickest time. But getting that info from a website called Kudos Prime. If you're a GT Sport player, the chances are you know about this already. But it gives you the times once the daily races and time trials have ended. So it's your final time and the final fastest time. So I've been using those as the definitive gaps. On my actual Kudos Prime, there's quite a few extra times that are not included in these videos, as I nearly get taken out by a Russian. That's basically because I've only included times that I've either filmed for the channel or practiced. So sometimes I had one lap and maybe went for it, and it's not representative. So all these I've actually practiced, which makes the disappointing performances all the more disappointing. Anyway, that Russian at it again, punts out the Italian, 2-second penalty, and I follow him through up to 12th. At the end of that very lap, Russian-Slovenian relations take a bit of a hit, as the Russian literally takes him out, and, you know, just mosey on through up to 9th. You know, there's a reason why there is the racing driver's cliche of just focus on your own race, which sounds stupid because you are racing other people, but actually if you focus on your own race, while other people, like the Italian there, who binned it and then respawned, while they lose their heads, keep yours. So possibly looking at 8th, the Italian looking a little shaky, so I'm keen to try and get past him. Really, I should have driven through his ghost, but I was a bit tentative. Not really done much in the way of overtaking, it has to be said, throughout these races, as I've kind of, you know, struggled to basically get comfortable, find my own pace. And it comes, it does come, believe me. It's not going to be this very passive-aggressive form of driving that you're seeing now forever. I want to go overtaking people, simple as that. So, getting right up to him as the Polish guy up ahead disappears. Ignore him as we look to outbrake the Italian. Hold it together. He turns in on me while I'm almost through. Hold it together. And we get a move done. And that one felt good. Up to 7th now. Doing pretty well. Over halfway through the race. Bit of a gap to the Greek up ahead. So either look to bring that down, or just at the very least get some fast laps in, hold station. However, while my attacking was starting to come together, my defence wasn't. Left the door wide open, broke way too early, and the Italian just takes the place back. All too easy for him. A lap later, still in touching distance with the Italian and the pole, and coming around the hairpin, same problem again. Brake early, leave the door wide open, and the Slovenian, who got punted off by the Russian earlier, has made a brilliant recovery, and then just idly wandered through the open door I've left. So as quickly as we got 7th, we're now back down to 9th, but the Italian, who was looking a bit shaky earlier, has run wide, and we grab 8th. Then onto the main straight, we see the pole in a little bit of trouble, and as we come closer we can see the size of the penalty he's got, 4.3 seconds. With under 2 laps left, it's unlikely that he's going to get rid of that, and if he would, he'd have to slow down. So chances are, stay close to him and we'll overtake him. Now he knocks off the Slovenian again, poor guy, but then I bottle it going around the corner, so he cuts behind me. Again, what I said earlier about focusing on your own race, if I'd just not been watching the action ahead so much and taken the corner well, I could have just driven into 7th place there. No matter, we're still with him, and he's still looking a little bit shaky, so might have a chance. Get in the slipstream and see if we can get around him. Maybe running into the first corner. So tucked in, again, squirms. I've got the run, but again, rather than use that momentum, I hit the brakes, lose any speed advantage, and he drives off, and that's the last chance I'll get. However, big moment, I actually get to cross the finish line Inherit 7th thanks to the pole's mammoth penalty. All in all, a pretty good race, a clean race. Gained 6 places and finished 7th. Not bad, I'll take that. So we go in one last time. High of 9th in qualifying and driver rating up to D, sportsmanship rating up to S now. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. Record high qualifying position, record high driver and sportsmanship ratings for me. And I'm looking ahead, I'm thinking, you know what? Have another race like I did there, we could be looking at top 5. I mean, maybe if I stopped understeering painfully through turn 1, I'd be looking at top 5, but there's a chance. Still on lap 1, overcook it going into the hairpin, and essentially stop on the apex. I get barged out the way by this Frenchman, and I was annoyed at that at the time, but to be fair, I parked on the corner while he was trying to take it normally, so fair enough. I keep an eye on the radar, I understeer again going through turn 1. Another French driver sees the opportunity to try and take it out, but I feel he lunged from quite a way back, so I think he kind of used me to get around the corner. I don't think it was door open, I'm going to go through. He needed me to get round the corner. Now we're at lap 4 now. I'm not gaining any pace, so I start to mess with my traction control. You can see in the bottom right, I think, you know what, maybe with more traction control your power bogs down, maybe I just need to be a bit riskier, try and use that to pick my pace up. And as I'm still messing with the setting, I spin out, instantly regretting turning down my traction control. Basically, there's a little red toggle wheel on the Logitech G29 which you use to change certain settings, but when you spin it, it doesn't always do it straight away. I'm not sure if I maybe need to do it at a certain point, and I'm still messing with it now. I'm still trying to change my traction control. I think I'm turning it back up at this point, and as I'm messing with it, I just let 2 guys saunter through. There you go, have at it, guys. I finally get the traction control turned back up, and then get a couple of whacks from the Spaniard. He had the whole road. I know I was messing about with my settings, and it's a bit harsh he got a 1-second penalty for that, but he had the whole road to go around me. Coming through the hairpin, few knocks from the inside, I get hit about 3 or 4 times by the Russian. No idea how he got away without a penalty there. But still. Again, completely distracted, and I've just been robbed of 4 places because I was messing with those settings. I could blame the toggle not working. I don't know if that's just a general issue or one specific to my wheel, but not being focused has lost me 4 places. So, here we go. Trying to get back into it now. Russian runs wide. Both of them technically do. One of them off the track, one of them understeers. I see the gap, get 1 overtake done, and then inherit the other place from the other's misfortune. And I immediately get 2 back. So, head down, try and get after the Spaniard now. Problem is, it is lap 6 by the time this is happening, and before I know it, it immediately becomes lap 7. And we cross the line in 13th. And that brings me back down to earth. That's where we leave Tsukuba, about 4 seconds off the pace. And we move on to another one-make race, sticking with the slow cars is my thing ethos. Golf GTI at Nurburgring. In a room full of Nintendo fanboys, because there's DS's as far as the eye can see. But as a result, it puts me higher up on the grid. I'm up in 4th for this one, for my first GT Sport grid start. Yep, that looks like someone's first GT Sport grid start. Wheel spin, bogged down, immediately on the back foot. Lovely stuff. So, the first corner is usually messy at the Nürburgring, and I know this just from any game, not specifically this one, but managed to hold it together, don't get taken round. A couple of bumps here and there, but we're alright. I've dropped a couple, but I'm on the inside line, and I'm immediately eyeing up, getting 5th back. Outbrake the Italian, but then someone else, another Italian, decides, you know what, I'm sending first class. End up with 5th though, well, temporarily, until Italian, the legend of Taddo, I believe, comes round and nicks it off me. He's got a penalty though, so hoping to take that place back. And actually we end up 5th anyway, as one of the top 4 has just bailed out for some reason. So we get away with it a little bit here, because once the legend of Taddo has served his penalty, which he does now, I'm back up to net 4th place. Survived that horrible grid start, top 3 ahead. Now again, look at the radar, we just see someone try and stick their nose up the inside, even if there's a space there. And you've got to take these on a case-by-case basis, but just because there's a space there doesn't mean you should be able to stick your nose in every time, and I feel like I got barged then. Also, as I was saying with the Mazda time trial earlier, because it takes so long to accelerate, you really feel that loss of momentum. And if you lose pace somewhere because you've been hit, or you don't brake well or accelerate early enough, you feel that in terms of the momentum of other people's cars. So you see ahead, I'm coming into this corner, the Italian here brakes poorly. I look to go around the outside, defends robustly, and now I'm the one down on speed, as everyone's got a good exit out that corner. Now this would happen with any race car, but because it's slow accelerating cars, it just seems to happen so painfully. But anyway, penultimate chicane now. Brake well, look to just take the normal line, and because there's a little bit of pinball going on, managed to gain 1 place back and up to 7th. Got someone, see on the radar, just looking to maybe make a move around the final corner, but promptly shut the door, and we end up having dropped 3 places on the first lap, but plenty of cars up ahead, which means plenty of opportunities to get it back again. Immediately eyeing up for the first corner. Can we outbrake? But without outbraking ourselves. Look to the inside. Decent move. I feel the Italian has ended up pushing Twitchy Roger forward. He ends up getting a brilliant run and line through. I think he was initially braking, but the other Italian pushed him forward. No matter, we got at least 1 place back, up to 6th. Then here, I think I was too busy watching the back of Twitchy Roger, which is a bit of an unfortunate sentence, but there we are. But basically I outbrake myself there, and like I say, lose that all-important momentum. So now I've got a queue of cars behind me and a gap to the ones ahead. Manage though to just hold off, take this corner well, and then no sooner have I done that, another terrible bit of braking, squirm, run wide, and down to 7th. So that 1 place immediately lost. Coming to the end of lap 2, coming back towards the penultimate chicane, I look to outbrake the Italian, and we take different lines through. And as you see, I'm coming back so I don't cut the corner. He's trying to take the chicane normally, and we collide. Because of that, again, they've got better runs through it. The legend of Taddo returns. I try and outbrake him. Again, do squirm under braking and move wide. The other Italian has picked up a 2-second penalty. Now, I'm not sure if that's from me. I think that's unfair if it's for me, because we've just taken the corner at different angles. I've moved across to try and take it normally. I feel he could have maybe allowed me some space, but he's just trying to take the chicane as he would. So, a bit harsh if he's giving it for that. But anyway, I've come down to 9th. Someone again tries to lunge from deep, but fortunately survive it, although it means I do again continue to lose a little bit of time on that group. So at the start of the final lap now, down to 9th and trying to just get something out of it. Need to focus on taking these corners well. Line through that, perfect. Line through that, questionable. And I was questioning if I'd gotten away with that, and I hadn't. Damn it. So, at the next penalty line, served the penalty, and immediately I dropped down to stone dead last. I felt like my performance wasn't that bad, but I think I just made some poor decisions throughout that led me to it. Got caught in the mess. Coming across that final chicane, I felt I followed the German through. He didn't get a penalty. I did pick up one. I'm not questioning whether I cut the corner. I think that was very, very borderline. I just feel like maybe he should have got one as well. Managed to get ahead of him into the final corner, but it's futile ultimately. I will drop to stone dead last because of that penalty. I mean, technically not last because of the DNF, but despite that poor result, I'm convinced there's a good result in this race. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So, quick update. The average gap after those races and time trial is just over 3 seconds. I'm going to return to the Nürburgring, and then I was actually ready to film this episode, and for that we went back to Interlagos in the Grade 3 cars. So, will that bring the gap down, or does it get worse? We'll find out next time. Thank you so much for watching. There is another video over here somewhere. Please like, subscribe and comment, and hopefully I will see you next time. Thanks very much.